Hello and welcome back to the news. I know it's been a while since I've submitted my last episode, but I'm back today and have some pretty good content to go over, so let's head straight into it. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is Valve's announcement of how they want to run the 2017 and 2018 competitive season of Dota 2. Now this announcement is massive, and it's massive for a number of reasons. For those of you who actually watched my last video, and would understand why certain members in our community thought these changes were really necessary. If you'd like to rehash that, you can go check out the video. The link is there with the timestamp of the Toby's Worried segment where I go over that and Toby's concerns. But for now, I'm just going to assume you guys know what's going on and proceed with this anyway, okay? There's a couple of key points in this blog post and the announcement that they made, and let's go over some of them, okay? The first one is Valve will not be hosting any majors of their own in the next year. The second one is that third-party events that meet certain criteria will actually be considered and endorsed by Valve as majors and another tournament category called minors. And the third one is that TI is about TI qualification. The only way to qualify for TI now is by getting something called TI qualifying points, which you receive from these majors and minors. So those changes are great. Now that we all have a little bit of a better understanding of what Valve are trying to do, let's look at these changes a little bit more in depth. Okay, let's start from the last point. Go backwards, okay? Qualifying points will be awarded based on the total prize pool of a tournament, whether the tournament is a major or a minor, with majors giving more points per prize dollar. The total points per tournament will also partially scale based on the time of year, with tournaments closer to TI awarding additional points. Which is pretty great actually, because a lot of teams during that time, like the top teams who think they've already got their TI qualifier slots, don't play those tournaments. And the other teams trying to break into TI want to play as many tournaments as they can, so that gives extra motivation to those teams, which is great. More points on that. With tournaments closer to TI awarding additional points, we've been through that. Qualifying points will be granted based on placing high in majors and minors, and will accumulate on individual players. Now that is a very interesting thing, because that keeps the power in the players' hands. If the points are awarded to players, okay, obviously roster locks, as it's stated here, is still a big factor. If you give the points to players, during a transfer season, 5 players can just say, okay, we're going to band together, and they're still an eligible team to get into TI. So it keeps the power in the players' hands, which is a very, very interesting way to do it. Roster locks will still exist, as it says here. And players switching teams during the approved periods will retain their qualifying points. Okay, that makes sense. And it's also a good system because it keeps players from hopping during transfer locks. Because before, you just lost your invite or your right to original qualifier. But the teams could still go and play open qualifiers. Now, if you F up with your points, you can't get into TI. So I think it keeps some stability in the scene in that way as well, which is very, very good. In order to allow for teams recruiting new entrants to the competitive landscape and to facilitate sometimes necessary roster changes between lock periods, only the top 3 point earners on a team will contribute towards the team's effective total qualifying points. Very clever as well. Okay, so that's it for qualifying points. Alright, now let's look at the criteria that you need to meet for Valve to endorse you as one of their majors. So the first criteria is $500,000 prize pool. So if you meet that $500,000 prize pool mark, they will put forward another $500,000 towards your total prize pool for your event, which is great. For the minors, it's $150,000, and then Valve put through another $150,000. So that's the first criteria, and that's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie, that is cool. The second criteria I think is even cooler. To be a major or minor, you need to have at least one qualifier from the 6 primary regions in Dota 2. North America, South America, C, China, EU, and CIS, which is also great. That whole thing, I think, is great, but it's not perfect just yet. Like I said in my last video, we need to have qualifiers for Africa and the Middle East. Okay, the Middle East maybe not as bad because they can play on Europe servers quite comfortably, but in Africa region, playing on 200 ping to Europe is not the most fair thing. Yes, we're not as big as EU or CIS or C or any of those regions, but we do have teams and players here who are capable and have been and played internationally before quite successfully. Our old Bravado squad won a tournament when they went to Taiwan. They got interviewed by Zoe. That interview was an absolute joke, but great. They went to WESG last year, finished third in the regional qualifier, placed in the middle of the event, ahead of some EU C teams. It was EU and C teams, sorry. And it was a good performance, and it just changed the mindset of all those players going there. So again, I think we need to have qualifiers and stuff for this region, Africa, Middle East, all these kind of upcoming regions as well. But for now, I think it's a good system. And the great thing about the system actually, that okay, so Valve are not noticing me, senpai, like we'd like to for qualifiers for Africa. But here in South Africa, we can host our own minor tournament, $150,000 prize pool, and Valve will endorse our event. which is okay. $150,000 seems like a lot. That's like 2 million rand, but it really isn't. Metal State held the CS:GO tournament. They sponsored by Samsung. With a 2 million rand prize pool this year. So if Metal State can do it for CS:GO, why can't we do it? Even Metal State going to do Dota at some point. Can't we do it for Dota as well? So I think this is a great opportunity for us to actually put ourselves on the map now. We can host a minor. I mean, in a more fantasy dream world, we can host a major. But let's keep it real for now and put that as our next goal for these event organizers and ourselves as a Dota 2 community to put ourselves on the map is to host one of these things. That's my suggestion. I think it's great. So yeah, we've been through all of this, and the grand scheme of things, this is good changes. The consensus is it's good changes. To add on to why I think it's good is because if you remember in the past, in the TI4 era, Valve had a very hands-off approach, and it was all third-party events. We had about 48 third-party events during the TI4 years. Yeah. But we had those problems where tournaments weren't paying out, Valve with the hands-off approach, tournaments were, like, the scheduling was terrible, this, that. But now Valve are going to be working hands-on in partnership with these events, and I think things for the future are looking positive, to say the least. And the next thing we have to talk about is Jinx TV. Okay, Jinx TV and DSTV, our national cable broadcasting television people, have announced a partnership together. So we're going to have an esports channel, a channel dedicated to esports on our cable television, which is, I mean, it has to be a great thing for esports as a whole in South Africa, right? I mean, it's going to be reaching an audience that it wouldn't have been reaching before, like on the Congo Dota stream or the VS Gaming stream or a platform like Twitch TV. So it's going to be reaching a whole new audience that we wouldn't ordinarily watch esports, and that is just a great thing. For South African esports as a whole, it can only be seen as a positive, for sure. But my question is, how does it relate to a game like Dota 2? And to answer that question, I'm going to push us over to a blog done by some CSGO monkey named Congo Kyle. Alright, so now you might be asking me, why am I showing you a blog written by some CSGO guy? Well, to give you some context on who Kyle Walmarant is, or Congo Kyle is, he's a guy who's been involved in SA esports from its very early days, and he actually built his career in casting Dota 2. So when he writes a blog that says, no, I don't think Dota 2 is dying in South Africa, it might be just worth your time to go read it. Even though he didn't think it's important enough to share on his various forms of social medias and I had to go dig for this blog, I think there's some points that is worthy going over, especially in correlation with Jinx TV announcement here in South Africa, okay? So this is a pretty good article where he makes a couple of good points, but the main reason we're here is because of this one line he drops. And this is the line. Dota 2 is, unfortunately, not a noob-friendly esport to follow and enjoy, but it requires a little bit more explaining too. So that is a fair point. I mean, he states in this article as well, a game like Counter-Strike might have complex strategies and insane levels of mechanical skill, etc., required. But the premise of the game of Counter-Strike is very simple. Point and click. Shoot. We see that in movies, we see that all the time. It's not hard to understand Counter-Strike. A good example of this is, in fact, I mean, me and my brother, we've played Dota 2 in our house for 4 or 5 years now, like on a daily basis. But my dad still has no cooking clue what's going on. Overwatch, for example, is a game that very soon after me, my brother, and my sister started playing, my dad saw and said, hey, that game looks like fun, I'm going to buy it and come play with you guys. Now that's a big difference. After 3 days saying, hey, Overwatch looks fun, let me come play, and Dota is like, after 5 years, what the hell is going on in this game, is a very big difference. So now, obviously that is a concern and a problem we have in Dota as a whole. Even to learn it as a player, it's got quite a steep learning curve. But I'm not here on the show to complain about this shit and that shit. I'm here to like voice my opinions and stuff and actually put forward viable solutions. Well, I say viable in my own head. Whether you guys think it's viable or not is a whole different story. So to learn Dota, we have a lot of resources. There's plenty of guides. We have software websites like Pugna and GameLeap now. We have free YouTube content available. We have Purge's guide on how to play Dota, which is absolutely phenomenal. But for spectating Dota, what do we really have? I mean, in TI, we used to have the noob stream, which was great for new people learning Dota, 100%. And I hope they actually bring it back this year. But like, I feel like we need that sort of Purge guide in how to play Dota, but for spectating Dota. And for mainstream television, I think it's something we definitely need. So my suggestion would be to have something like Like when you run ads for Dota 2, you run like like betting adverts, kinda like really selling the game. Oh yeah, 5v5, $20 million biggest prize pool ever, yada yada. Like a real marketing thing. But then also that ad links to a learning resource that is something similar to Purge's guide on how to learn how to play Dota, but for spectating. I think that'd be really, really great. Now, obviously, it's good to talk airy fairy, but what do we actually need to do to build something like that? So my idea was to tweet Purge. Maybe your idea is something completely different. And who knows, maybe one of us actually hit an idea that's decent enough and actually have the balls to push it forward. And if it helps make Dota a more understandable and fun game to play and pushes our scene forward, then great. Everybody's gonna be happy with that. So yeah, that's just my opinion on the whole thing. The usual stuff. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Jinx TV and Congo Kyle's No Dota is Not Dying article. And let's move on to the next segment. Now let's talk the EGE event happening in Cape Town. This is kind of like maybe like the rage of Cape Town, and we'll be hosting the VS Gaming Masters Land Finals with a 550,000 cash prize pool. So yeah, that's the event. If you guys want to learn more about it, this is a ZombieGamer article. I will link it in the bottom. It's probably the most useful or informative article about the EGE I found so far. VS Gaming one wasn't all that good. EGE's own one wasn't all that good. So check out ZombieGamer's one. Solid content there all the time. And as I said, this is a Dota 2 tournament, so there is some personal news for me here as well. VS Gaming have informed me that I won't be casting their LAN, which is kind of sad. The reason they gave was I'm not experienced enough at live events, which is But I will be going to the EGE anyway. I'm going to be running a project of my own where I'm going to be creating original content. I'm going to be interviewing as many people as I can possible, kind of like what I did with Castaway at the last Masters Cup. Just the interviews are going to be a little longer and much more relaxed. Hopefully, and more informative content as well. Not that like that content wasn't informative, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm gonna basically interview anybody who really wants to be interviewed. Players, managers, cosplayers, YouTubers, fans, whoever's willing to do an interview with me, I will interview them. So that's what I'm gonna be doing there. I'm pretty excited for it, to be honest. And yeah, if you guys there, come give me a shout, man. And yeah, that's my episode for today. So I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and thank you for tuning in as usual. If you like what you saw, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You don't have to if you don't want to. Whatever strokes your goat. If you want to follow me on social media and stuff, my Twitter is very active at KChickDay, and my Facebook page is Common Chick Day Dota for some shameless self promotion. So yeah, go check that out if you like to. Thank you everybody, and goodbye.